what's going on. Everything gonna be about old Johnnie Cochran, remembering the late great lawyer. And with OJ's passing, and people got stuff to say. And I saw Carl Douglas, who was protege of Johnnie Cochran's firm. Johnnie Cochran represented O.J. Simpson as he did Michael Jackson, as he did Geronimo Pratt. Johnnie Cochran always battled against the LAPD and their racist ways and their tactics, which represent the whole country. He was on a crusade to get reparations for black folks. There has not been another black lawyer that stepped up, not even Ben Crump, who he's everywhere when it comes to black matters, but he ain't going towards reparations. Find that very interesting and odd, but are they just another well-placed and paid-off Negroes? I think that's what they want in America with 3Ks. And Johnnie Cochran, as I always say, there's a black movement. There's always one that they're like, oh my God, we got to get rid of him, by any means. And he died all too young, remember. However, he was definitely following the letters to the law by reasonable doubt. But people don't understand law. You have to prove your case on your side of the coin. That's what you have to do. And people have a hard time accepting that. For as if Johnnie Cochran was white, they would probably be naming schools and buildings after him. He'd be even more. He did get acknowledged in the community because he brought Soul OJ's glow. As I remember, Ray Allen, the basketball player, one of the greatest players ever, by the way, hired him to do his contracts, $600 fee. Didn't need an agent. Hired Johnnie Cochran. And that was significant for Ray. I'm sure Ray didn't kind of call a little backlash too because he hired him and it was known. But Ray was unapologetically black about it. Johnnie Cochran was unapologetically black about what he did. He defended you. He spoke. He spoke truth. Some people might look at it as a sermon. Some people might, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. But the bottom line is he was bringing it in some language that people could identify to, could relate to articulate, but he also understood the perils and what he had to do. It's hard for people in a racist society, in a racist mindset, to navigate that black people do count in a country that has been so pro-white and can't help themselves to see that, because they are trapped by their own ignorance and ideology, because they have everything been supremacies. If you go to school with the books, if you go to the art world, if you go to, you see everything as painted as white. There is no balance in America with 3Ks. So Johnnie Cochran seems like an alien that landed from another orbit, and it's like, oh my God, what is this? To defend someone black? To put it back? To have the resources, to have the structure, to have the mindset, to have the IQ, to have the dexterity, to have like a symphony, to conduct it and put it all orchestrated, and to work it with black lawyers, white lawyers, Jewish lawyers. Yeah. Bring that whole world together. And to make Marsha Clark look like her perm dried out before it had a chance to curl up, and Christopher Darden looked like a token brother. He did his job. He ate they behind up twice on Sunday and all the way through Saturday. And we're just at Monday. And they have not been able to get over it. And they pass this on to the white media, which gets regurgitated by people who believe everything they say. Because if you don't think for yourself, you'll stand for anything. And if you don't think outside the box, you'll be real gullible. And a lot of people are still frightened of the big bad Johnnie Cochran. And what it was, because it wasn't about Ronald and Nicole. It's about the fact that a black man could defend themselves. They just assume, oh, he's going to be guilty and we're going to mourn him we'll treat OJ as a martyr and lock up because we got him. There's no way he comes out of this and all that. Just like they did with Michael Jackson. Now, recently, obviously, with R. Kelly, they got him and they trumped up them charges against Bill Cosby. And Puffy's situation is looking pretty dire to an extent. But the reality is this. They'll never get over this. Anybody ever walks up to you and say, I'm not racist. I'm and America's this and that. I say, O.J. Simpson. Say those two words and see what kind of reaction you get. That's the litmus test. But if they know Johnnie Cochran, just saying, Mr. Johnny got them shook. And they never got over that. Why? Because they never had to share nothing. The only time white people had to be on code that I've seen in my lifetime was the pandemic. That's it. But that 30 years, that this reaction that I've seen the last few days, ain't nothing changed. Because when you think you're entitled to everything and you see something different, it shakes you up. And they're not used to it. And that's why it was a dawning of a new day. Sadly, it really hasn't come to that, you know. But ironically, the one black man that they let kind of get to the big house or hang out with them had enough to flip it back on them. They never got over it. And that's what you're seeing. That's what you see. And I will debate and discuss that anytime you want. Because this story will never die as long as it's black and white. The unsettled business in America with 3Ks, injustices, systematic institutionalized racism. Oh, the OJ story is going to continue like its own theme and play. And Johnnie Cochran is going to be one of its narrators because people know there has not been any justice and there hasn't been any peace. That's why you see wars, destruction, disease, viruses, death. And you're seeing its ugly head of how these politicians are still trying to tap dance towards black folk to shuffle, to see that they will bite. But in the back of their mind, they still feel a certain way from that time period in 94, 95. And Johnnie Cochran was one of those narrators. Please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments. And I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like my piece.